This is a follow-up video to the one I did in 2012 titled Simple Fix for Phone Not Charging. But in this video, I use a new method that requires basically only one tool, that being a pair of scissors. This video demonstrates a procedure which could still cause damage to any device if it is not done properly. This buildup can happen sometimes rather quickly and almost always leads to the problems mentioned earlier. What you'll need to fix this is just a pair of scissors and some thin, rigid plastic packaging like this from something you've bought in the past. The plastic can be thinner, but must be no thicker than this wall on your charge port connector. Look closely. If you try using anything thicker, then you will damage your charge port, so be careful. Now take your packaging and cut a piece off that's about 1/2 inch wide by 1.5 inches long. For those of you in the metric world, that is approximately 1.25 centimeters wide by 4 centimeters long. The size of the cutout does not need to be exact. You just need to be able to hold it between your finger and your thumb. If you don't have any way to measure, then use the width of a standard USB connector for the width and the prongs on a standard fork to get your measurement for the length. Cut the plastic so it has a shape that looks something like this. You don't need to make it exactly like mine. You can cut out a shape of your own liking if it suits you better. This one works well for me though. As I said, the size is not critical, but the thickness of the material is. I like to make sure there are no sharp edges on the tip, so I sand it quickly with something like a nail file or polishing pad or something. This I do just for good measure. Now hold your device up like this so the light is shining from behind you. If there is a dust buildup in the charge port, it will now be visible. Carefully use the tool you just made to clean out the larger open area of the port. Don't exert any force or dig away in any part of the charge port. Be very careful with your actions. Remember, it's only dust that you're trying to get loose. Afterwards, blow it out. Now once you've cleaned out the larger open area of the port, you can go behind the pin row tab. I must mention two things here. Do not ever pry against the tab or bend it in any way. If you see the tab bending at all, stop immediately. You do not want to have to replace the charge port because of a careless mistake. The second thing I want to mention is that even though you can't see the dust in the little area behind the tab, it still is there tucked into the slot at the bottom of that small gap. Any dust left in the gap will almost always stop charge plugs from going in all the way, so it must be removed. Sweep your tool gently to the very bottom and remove the dust like this. You will see the dust coming out beside the tab when you do this. Now blow out your device and look inside again. If no more dust comes out, you are done. You can plug in your charge cord and everything will work fine once again. Now for a few tips. You might ask, will this work in my phone or device? The answer is yes. Any style charge port that is open to its dusty environment, for example, micro USB, mini USB, Apple, Bluetooth devices, or anything else will be vulnerable to a dust buildup. You can also make this tool any shape you want to fit future style charge ports. You might also ask, do I have to remove my battery for this? The answer is no. This homemade tool is made of electrically non-conductive plastic. Static discharge will not be a concern either, as this homemade tool will be so small that it will not hold any substantial static charge near its tip. Will a can of compressed air work, or can I use a vacuum instead? The answer is yes and no.